In this video, I will share 10 essential but often overlooked life hacks that saved my life just after my 46th birthday. These menopause life hacks helped me survive 45 severe perimenopause symptoms, and to my utter surprise, I emerged stronger on the other side. Yes, I got my life back. So the question is, what helped me and how? First up comes research. If you know my story, or if you've been here for a bit, you know that I wasn't in any way prepared for this perimenopause palaver. I had heard of menopause and I felt that one day when I was 50, my periods would just stop and then I couldn't get pregnant, and that would be that. I didn't know that my life was going to shift from right under me and I would be stumbling in darkness. Everything was happening all at once. My brain, my mind, my body, my emotions. I felt I was dying or I was going crazy. Then I found out from a friend that this was menopause. It began to make some sense. But even then, who would have thought that things like itching skin, the ringing sound in your ears, and carpal tunnel syndrome had anything to do with menopause? At that time, I immersed myself in intensive research. It was as if this thing that was hidden from me, this information that was hidden from me, I had to equip myself. I had to empower myself with all this information. So I began to study. I was studying as if I was probably going to medical school or trying to sit for some very serious exams. And I took so many courses. I did so many trainings. I did exams. And then I became certified as a certified menopause well-being practitioner. Once I became certified, I was able to help other women because I had all the information, all the symptoms, all the triggers, what caused what and why. And so then I became my first patient, or should I say client. It was kind of like a physician heal thyself kind of moment. And guess what? It worked. Knowing everything was caused by menopause, even knowing what was perimenopause, understanding the stages and all of that, understanding the symptoms, the triggers, the solutions, really eased my mind. It really made me understand what was happening, and that understanding was phenomenal. And when they say knowledge is power, they really know what they are talking about. It's not a cliche, because once I had that knowledge, I was now empowered. And so I became calm. My anxiety, my confusion was reducing, and my mental health slowly began to improve because I knew I wasn't dying anymore and I knew I wasn't going crazy. So I have all these videos on my channel as a result of all the research I've done over the last few years, and you can go through them. Next up is self-acceptance. This was really difficult. Self-acceptance and self-love. My stomach looked like I was 5 months pregnant. My face had so many different shades, complexions on it. In my eyes, I was ugly. This was a very bitter pill to swallow. I have always liked to dress up. I've liked my appearance, not in a vain way, but this my my self-esteem took a big hit. I never knew I would be affected. So that seemed to me that I had taken maybe my looks or whatever for granted. I think the worst part also was my body. I had worked so hard, all my life to keep fit, to eat healthy, eat right. And I was so sure that I would be immune from any condition or any illness. I guess that was pretty silly of me, because in life there are no guarantees. Perimenopause really humbled me. You really never know what can come next. After research and knowledge calmed my severe anxiety, and I needed to try to accept the new me. Accepting it, but at the same time, not, should I say, accepting defeat. Accepting that, okay, this is where I am now. This is where I would be, and where do I want to be tomorrow? Is it possible for me from where I am to retrace my steps? Where would that leave me? Because I wasn't happy with the way things were, but I felt that I needed to accept it first and then move on and transform into the best version of myself. So I needed to boost my confidence and my self esteem, and then to consciously start loving myself from the inside out. Accepting that things have changed, and decide, what can I do about it, and take one day at a time. Telling myself I'm a work in progress. And it's okay to be a work in progress. Before then, I felt like I was the most unintelligent person in the entire world. I made so many mistakes. Once I accepted myself the way I was, my stress levels dropped, because I knew it was okay to be just the way I am, and I owed no one any apology. I had to affirm myself. I had to tell myself positive things. And I learned this on a video shoot. There's this lovely lady who taught me that I needed to, while doing the video shoot, for some of this video material, to talk to myself and tell myself I am beautiful, I am bold, I am confident, I'm intelligent. And I must tell you, that worked. So my mental health, the confusion, and the anxiety was now under control to some extent. I found that I had to talk about my experience. It occurred to me that nobody else knows what I was going through, or even knows anything about perimenopause. I didn't know anything until I had done all that research. So I felt that I had to ask the people who were closest to me to support me. First, starting with my family, my husband, my children, my sister, my mother. I had to explain. I had changed. I was not the same person anymore. Anything that affects you affects everyone and everything around you. And I needed them to understand that while I was still the same on the inside, I wasn't able to cope with so many things. I wasn't able to cope with life as it was. I wasn't able to cope with the pace of life as I had done so in the past. So for them to accept me, I wasn't able to give them the attention that I would have wanted. It didn't mean that I loved them any less. It's just that at that moment, or at that time, I was in survival. And in survival, you have to take care of yourself first. I also told a few of my friends, three to be precise. I don't have a lot of friends, but that's me, and that's perfectly okay. But they really supported me. And also in perimenopause, you will lose friends. And in my experience, sometimes that's a good idea, because in perimenopause, the rose-colored glasses that we used to wear and look at the world. I used to think the world was a beautiful place. Everybody had good intentions. All of that drops, and to some extent, you see people as they really are. And so, some friendships you really have to lose them and end them there and then. I just decided that I wasn't going to suffer in silence. So once I had told the people around me, my small support system, I my stress levels further reduced, and also so did my anxiety levels. I had to work it out. I don't know where I would be. in my life without exercise. I don't know where I'll be right now. Yes, it's not easy. Exercise was the last thing on my mind at that time, but I really love the results. Exercise helped me with anxiety and the panic attacks reduced, the fatigue, the brain fog, the not being able to sleep well because I would be tired after a serious workout. I would get a good night's sleep. The weight gain, although it took a long time, I slowly began to lose some of the kilograms that I had gained, those horrible kilograms that denied me access to my wardrobe. The weight distribution, being heavy on top than at the bottom is slowly improving. That takes some time. Exercise boosts my mental health. It gives me the mindset of a champion, the mindset of a conqueror, the mindset that I can do anything. When my body began to, improve, be like it used to before a bit, um, my self-esteem improved. From all my research and all my education, I also knew that exercise was going to help me lower my risk of osteoporosis and heart disease, which I knew were lurking somewhere in post menopause. Osteoporosis is when you have really brittle bones, and heart disease is one of those things that occur once our estrogen levels are really low. I will leave a link to a video on osteoporosis and one also on our heart health in the description of this video. Exercising in perimenopause is difficult, especially when I resumed exercising. I was dealing with so much. My body was aching. I kept going to the gym and I wasn't seeing any results. Those results that normally I would just do some exercises and in 2 months I will be fine. I was at it, and the scale, the numbers were not shifting. If anything, I think the numbers just even kept rising when I first started exercising, that vigor, like, I have to get rid of this weight. The numbers just kept climbing. After a while, I stopped even weighing myself. I didn't get on the scale again to check my weight until I was sure that my waist beans were really getting slack. For my exercise routine, I try to exercise 5 days a week for at least 30 minutes. I do a mix of cardiovascular exercise and strength training. I love exercising? Sometimes. I do love boxing because it's a full body workout. I will leave a link to videos on exercising in the description of this video. Exercising clears my head. Without a doubt, it clears my head of all the doubts and all the fear and the anxiety. It's beautiful. Next is eating healthy. And I have several videos on healthy nutrition. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. The interesting thing about eating healthy is that I had always eaten healthy, from when I was a lot younger. But then, when perimenopause started and when I did not know that it was perimenopause, there was a point, when I had this hot stomach sensation and when my stomach seemed to reject everything that I was eating. I was asking myself that, oh, maybe all the foods I've been eating all these days, which were so good for me, suddenly were not working for me and I was allergic to them because I would eat something and I found myself in the toilet. That was too much. So I now changed my diet. I now began to eat things that I wouldn't normally eat, like bread, like yam, like rice in excess, thinking that those things will calm my stomach, thinking that all of a sudden the fruits, the vegetables, all those nutritious things, the beans, were just not working for me at that time. And that's the thing about perimenopause that scares me, is that you can't think properly. Everything you thought you knew, you will forget. Everything you thought you knew that was good, everything that you thought you had it perfect, you had it going for you, you just forget all about it. Your mind just begins to roam round and round in confusion. It's scary. I can't believe that anything would ever take me off from the straight and narrow path of eating healthy. I understood, but I was confused. I guess that's brain fog for you. So I went back to eating all the things that were good for me: lean protein, healthy carbs because of fiber, things like oats and sweet potatoes, lots of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Of course, I had to drop all the junk that I had suddenly started eating and all the added sugars in the drinks and the foods that I was eating, things that were so different. Anyway, eating healthy really, really helped me. It took weeks, but eventually the fatigue dropped, the aching joints, the weight gain. That was so important. I began to lose that lower belly fat. Then, when I stopped eating added sugar, the itching skin and the itching scalp became a thing of the past, at least at that point in time. Because with perimenopause, it's never over until it's over. In perimenopause, you could think that a particular symptom is gone and gone for good, only to find that, like a movie, that symptom has a sequel and that there'll be part one and a part two and even a part three. And sometimes it comes with a plot twist. Amazing, interesting stuff, this perimenopause. I had comforted myself with sugar, snacks, sort of like comfort food. Whenever I'm anxious and unhappy, or confused, I just start eating things that are sweet and are sugary, and apparently that was not working for me at all. It even affected my complexion, but at the end of the day, I've gotten the hang of it. I'm back on the bandwagon and I'm eating right. Next came sleep, prioritizing sleep. Not easy, requires a lot of discipline. Apart from the fact that we perimenopausal women can't even find enough sleep. And then in addition to that, there are only 24 hours in each day. And so there's so much to do. There's work to go to, there's content creation, there's Netflix and chill on Friday night. Meanwhile, I know that I need 6 to 8 hours sleep each night. And if I don't get my 6 to 8 hours sleep, I'm not prepared for the next day. That is the truth of it. I am not myself. So I have to remind myself that, look, you know that if you don't sleep for 6 to 8 hours, you're looking for trouble in the morning. You're actually asking for it, and your day will be something else. So I had to consciously tell myself that, look, you have to go to sleep. Content creation can wait. The videos can wait. Research can wait. Everything else can wait. Put yourself first. Go to sleep. Prepare yourself ahead of tomorrow. And that slowly also began to help in the reduction of my lower belly fat, the confusion, and then the brain fog. Whenever I was able to get a good night's sleep, I found out that the brain fog was better, after time. This is all over time. Of course, nothing happened, like overnight, like an overnight, solution. Everything takes time. It takes weeks sometimes. Next, I had to work on reducing my stress levels. Before now, I always wanted to be everything for everyone. I wanted to be a really good wife. I wanted to be super mom. I wanted to be a good daughter. I wanted to be the best sibling. I wanted to be best friend. That kind of best friend that is always there for their friend, loyal, winning the Employee of the Year award. But then that left no time for best me. And one thing I know for sure is that perimenopause and stress do not mix. The way I see stress in perimenopause is like this: estrogen, that hormone, which is one of the major reasons why we go through all these things, because our hormones are depleting, is like our shock absorber. And when it begins to deplete, there is now nothing to absorb all the shocks in life. It goes flat, and everything that hits us really hard. So I found out I needed to reprioritize. On a good day, I'm normally a things have to be done kind of girl, action bias. Everything is always do or die. If we have to do it today, we have to do it today. Very seriously, making lists, scheduling time. Something must be done. Everything must be done today or tomorrow. I just never sit. I never rest. All of that had to change. I had to reprioritize. I had to change the way I do things in life. I had to learn to relax and to chill, as difficult as it was, because I was a confused mess. So I had to ask myself, what is so important? What really is do or die? I had to take my time, learn to say no to certain things so I could sort of like rest, and then no more multitasking. I used to be the queen of multitasking, but I had to stop that. My middle name used to be efficiency. That's all a thing of the past. And when I was able to consciously lower my stress levels, I stopped feeling overwhelmed. I began to feel calmer and happier, less scattered, and then I began to progress. Next up was therapy. I have learned that mental health is real. It is not a social construct. Before now, I'll hear people say, oh, my mental health is suffering. I have to take care of my mental health. I used to wonder that, like, what's wrong with these people? Is like, are they not? I don't know. I just used to wonder, is it just something they say? Maybe it's just like a meme or a fad or something or the other. But the truth is that when it comes to perimenopause and the fact that the estrogen receptors which we have in our brain are not getting enough estrogen, we become predisposed to having mental health issues like mood disorders and, of course, depression. I learned that there's nothing to be ashamed of concerning trying to keep your mental health in check. Believe me, depression is real. Before perimenopause, I used to be such a happy person. You can even call me happy fit. I was always dancing, always happy. I was always smiling, always had a kind word for everybody, always wanted everybody to be happy around me, putting people first, putting myself next. During perimenopause, I didn't send anybody. I was indifferent, I was jaded, I was languishing, I was burnt out, and I had no idea. I had noticed that there was no like joy in my life, despite all the things I had to be happy for and to be grateful for. It took a friend, a very good friend of mine, like a sister, who called me and told me, what's happening to you? This is not the I know. There's something missing. And then she began to ask me so many questions about how I was feeling and what was happening. That was what made me realize that there was something wrong, or something was going to happen concerning my mental health. It's difficult to realize that something is actually going wrong with you in your mind and the way you're thinking. It's difficult. At the end of the day, I spoke to a therapist. I was doing way too much, and I had to calm down and take things one at a time. Multitasking is overrated. I don't do it anymore. I do one thing at a time, one worry or one problem at a time. If a new worry or a new problem shows up, I tell that worry or that problem to take a number and go and stand at the back of the line. I will do one at a time. I cannot come and kill myself. And guess what happened next? Anxiety slowly was gone. Confusion gone. Brain fog gone. Belly fat gone. And I'm on my way back to being myself, or at least a wiser version of me. I have learned to safeguard my mental health at all costs. No negative energy is allowed into my space. I've learned to set boundaries, even in relationships. And in some cases, where some people I knew who I thought were friends at the time became high maintenance, I couldn't cope. I just quietly disengaged myself from those relationships without any notice or any explanation or any confrontation. It gets to a point where you know that enough is enough and something or someone is affecting your mental health. I just couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with all of that at the time. And I think that was one of the best decisions that I ever made, letting go of those people and those relationships. Next up is herbs. And I'm smiling as I'm saying this because if anybody had ever told me that I would ever take herbs, I would say never. So I have learned to never say never. Can you imagine that these herbs, I have gone to the point where I'm consulting regularly with a herbalist. It sounds like it's giving African magic vibes, right? But then I looked up the meaning of the word herbalist in the dictionary, and it actually is a person who practices healing by the use of herbs, a person who collects or grows herbs. And before then, when I would hear herbalist, I would imagine those people we see on African magic. You know, there's something in a pot they are cooking. Maybe they have a white circle around their eye. They have some feathers or something in their cap. They are wearing red. There are some concoctions. I didn't know that that was something different. And herbalist is just about herbs. How can herbs help us? Because herbs are medicinal. So I really learned something new. So I've learned to never say never. So with this my herbalist, I had a menopause mix made for me. And I know that some herbs in the mix were red clover, blue vervain, valerian roots, black cohosh, and wild yam, and many more. This improved my mood. I didn't believe it. I became happy. I began to sleep even much better. The hot flashes after some weeks actually reduced. It was amazing. Right now, I'm even actually taking another set of herbs for carpal tunnel syndrome. It's just been a few days, but I can't believe it. It seems like it's actually working. I will let you know how this herbal mix is working out in subsequent videos. Supplements and vitamins. There are so many supplements and vitamins that I now take, which I never used to take, like so important vitamin B12, all B vitamins, vitamin D3, vitamin C, vitamin E, evening primrose, chaste berry, omega 3, and so many more. I remember when I was younger that my mom used to have a bag of vitamins and she used to call it her medicine bag, and she would say, Anu, go and bring me my medicine bag, and I would smile, I'll carry that huge bag. And now here I am, I'm like my mom. I now have my own medicine bag, or should I say my vitamins and supplements bag. You never really know. So like I say these days, never say never, because you never know. I have an earlier video on all the supplements that I take, 9 various ones, why I take them, what they do for me, and I'm going to leave a link for that in the description so you can find it and see more of that information. But the vitamins and the supplements, they've done me a world of good. These 10 life hacks have made a big difference for me, and I hope they work out well for you too. In my next video, I will share even more about solutions and any tips which I think will help you get your life back. If this video has been helpful for you in any way, or if you have any menopause life hacks to share with us, please leave a comment. Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourself. Remember to be your sister's keeper. I'll see you soon.